Some say fortune is a gift. Others say it's a warning. Marcus Stone had once believed he understood fortune. He had believed he controlled it, that the universe had granted him a rare window, a chance to rise above mediocrity, to seize life before life could seize him. But now, sitting alone in his high-rise apartment, overlooking the sprawling city beneath him, he realized that fortune was never simple, never harmless. The city stretched endlessly outside his window, lights flickering in rhythm with the hum of distant traffic. To anyone looking from the outside, Marcus had everything: money, recognition, freedom, options. But inside, Marcus felt a quiet, insistent weight pressing down on him. It wasn't fear, not yet, but a tension that seemed to seep into his bones. Every shadow in the room felt longer than it should, every sound amplified. Even the faint ticking of the old clock on his wall sounded like a warning. He thought about the choices he had made over the past year, the ones he had laughed off, brushed aside, or justified with the careless arrogance of youth. Every shortcut, every risky bet, every whisper of ambition that had promised immediate reward now felt like a chain. And chains always have weight, always leave marks. Marcus's phone buzzed on the table beside him. Notifications, messages, missed calls. At first, he ignored them, letting the screen darken. He had grown accustomed to the constant intrusion of his digital life. People reaching, wanting, demanding. Fans, journalists, colleagues, opportunists. Each ping a reminder that yesterday's win was not free. Every one of them wanted something, and Marcus had nothing left to give, except perhaps his attention. He let his gaze wander to the city again. The skyline, once a symbol of his triumph, now felt like a cage. Tall buildings stood as silent observers, their windows reflecting both light and shadow, reflecting a life he no longer recognized as fully his own. He could almost hear the hum of judgment in the wind, as if the city itself was aware of the debts accumulating around him, waiting, patient, inevitable. Marcus leaned back in his chair, letting his hands rest on the arms, and closed his eyes. Memories from the past months flashed unbidden. The phone call announcing the big win, the celebrations that seemed endless, the fleeting thrill of being untouchable. Every cheer, every handshake, every congratulatory smile now carried an echo. What he had not realized at the time was that for every person he had left behind, every decision made in his favor, a cost was silently accumulating. The universe, or perhaps just human nature, kept meticulous record. He remembered Leo's warning. That single moment had seemed insignificant then. A casual conversation over coffee, a friend's half-serious advice. Luck always wants its money back, Leo had said, voice calm, eyes steady. Marcus had laughed it off. And yet, that phrase now resonated louder than any celebration, louder than any applause he had received. Luck wanted repayment, and Marcus had ignored the debt notice. He opened his eyes slowly, staring at the table. A glass of water reflected the dim ceiling lights. He reached for it, fingers trembling slightly, though he didn't know why. Perhaps it was the tension building in his chest, perhaps the unease that had been growing for days. He took a sip, felt the cool liquid slide down, and realized that even the simple act, the act of drinking, felt loaded with significance. Every movement, every breath, every choice had become part of a calculus he had never fully understood. Marcus's thoughts drifted to the people around him. Friends, colleagues, acquaintances. He considered their smiles, their congratulations, their subtle envy. How many had seen him succeed and quietly marked it as an opportunity? How many had waited, intentionally or not, for the moment his luck would falter? The questions gnawed at him, insidious, relentless. Every interaction carried potential consequences. Every friendly face could hide judgment, betrayal, or expectation. He turned his attention inward. Who was he really beneath the veneer of wealth and success? He had become a master at projecting confidence, at masking uncertainty, at performing competence. Yet now, in the quiet of his apartment, he realized the performance was fragile. It was built on luck, not mastery. And luck, he had learned or would soon learn, was a capricious master. Marcus stood and moved to the window. Rain had begun to fall, tiny droplets sliding down the glass in irregular patterns. The city blurred beneath, streaks of neon and car lights distorted by water. The scene should have been calming, even beautiful, but it felt oppressive. The rain, the lights, the reflections. They all seemed to whisper reminders of inevitability. Every choice, every shortcut, every gamble he had taken had been recorded, accounted for. And the time to repay was approaching. He thought of the first warning, the subtle signs that he had ignored. A missed call from Leo, a delayed email from Evan, a friend who had avoided his calls. At the time, he had seen them as minor irritations, inconsequential glitches in his perfect trajectory. But now he recognized the pattern. The world had begun to respond to him not as Marcus Stone the lucky, but as Marcus Stone the debtor. And the response would be unrelenting. He walked the length of the room, pacing slowly, letting his mind wander through scenarios. Every interaction he had had in the past months seemed to take on new meaning. Every handshake could have been a silent ledger entry. Every compliment, a reminder that someone had expected a repayment. Marcus realized that debts were not only financial. They were human, emotional, moral, and they were always collected. Sitting back down, Marcus pulled his phone from the table. Messages, calls, notifications, he scrolled slowly, deliberately. Each name seemed to carry weight. Each unread message was a ripple, a signal that the world was moving toward him, demanding attention, demanding accountability. He realized, with a sinking certainty, that the first echo was no longer abstract. It was real and it was waiting. Hours passed in the apartment. Marcus didn't move much, didn't eat, didn't call anyone. He simply sat, letting his mind replay choices, replay mistakes, replay wins that now seemed hollow. The sun dipped below the horizon. The city lights brightened, and still he remained, a silent witness to his own apprehension. By the time night fully settled, Marcus understood something he had not admitted before. The calm he had enjoyed in his success was an illusion. Luck, reward, fortune, they were temporary. The real work, the real danger lay in managing the consequences. And the first debt, the first echo was about to arrive. He leaned back in his chair, hands intertwined, staring at the ceiling. A question formed in his mind, quiet, insistent. How much of what he had was truly his? And how much had been borrowed from the patience, trust, and goodwill of others? In that moment, Marcus Stone realized he was no longer merely a man who had won. He was a man about to pay. And in the shadows of the apartment, the city outside, and the silence within, the first echo waited. They called Marcus Stone the man with the golden touch. But Mr. Ray, he called him borrowed time. From the quiet corner of the club, where the air smelled of whiskey and regret, Mr. Ray had watched Marcus rise. The tailored suits, the perfect grin, the confidence that dared the universe to challenge him. Cameras adored him. Crowds worshipped him. He moved through every room like consequence was a myth. But Mr. Ray saw what the lights could never show. The flame behind the smile. The kind that burns too bright to last. Marcus had become a symbol, fortune's favorite son. The kind of man who didn't just win, but made winning look like destiny. His name was printed on magazine covers, whispered in back rooms, turned into hashtags. He had converted luck into a brand and arrogance into performance. When he played, it wasn't for money anymore. It was for applause, for the validation that came with being unbeatable. To the world, he was unstoppable. But to himself, he was something else entirely. Addicted. Mr. Ray would shake his head from the shadows and mutter the same phrase under his breath. Luck always wants its money back. He had warned Marcus once, outside the Grand Royale. Rain pouring, the streets glowing under golden neon. Marcus had just won another televised game, the world watching. "Kid," Ray said, voice steady but tired, "you're stacking victories on borrowed ground. Don't mistake fortune for favor." Marcus smiled, the kind of smile that said he'd already forgotten the warning. "I don't mistake anything, Mr. Ray," he replied. "I make it happen." Then he walked away, into the flash of cameras and the roar of his own illusion. Ray sighed. He'd seen that walk before. Pride pretending to be purpose. And pride never buries quietly. In the years that followed, Marcus built an empire out of attention. Interviews, endorsements, awards. He became the face of ambition. Untouchable, unbothered, unstoppable. The press called him the fortune child. His followers called him the man destiny chose. But behind the fame, the calls from home stopped coming. His mother's voice faded into voicemail. He'd tell himself he was too busy, too focused. Success had no room for sentiment. And so he learned to live loud, surrounded by people who clapped, not cared. Then came the night of the Champions Cup. The air buzzed with tension and expectation. The city's elite filled the hall, waiting to watch their hero work his magic once again. Marcus entered like a storm in human form, all charm and precision. Cameras followed his every breath. The crowd erupted. He gave them the smile they came for, the smile that sold stories. Mr. Ray sat quietly in the back, hat low, eyes sharp. He didn't need the cameras to tell him the ending. He'd seen too many men arrive at this point, where ego outruns grace. The cards hit the table. The game began. Marcus laughed, gestured, performed. The early rounds were his, smooth, controlled, effortless. But somewhere deep inside he knew something was off. His rhythm, his focus, his edge. Luck had started to hum a different tune. Then came the final hand, the one the world would never forget. Marcus looked down at his cards. His heartbeat echoed in his ears. Across the table, his opponent stared, silent, calm, unflinching. The bet was placed. The air went still. Cameras zoomed in. Marcus smiled again, though it didn't reach his eyes this time. He flipped his card. The room froze. He lost. Not a small loss. Collapse. The kind that doesn't end a game, it ends a reign. For a full 3 seconds, silence ruled. No cheers. No murmurs. No motion. Just disbelief. Mr. Ray exhaled softly and whispered, "It begins." The next morning, the world woke in shock. The headlines screamed his name. Not in praise, but pity. Fans questioned. Critics dissected. Opportunists circled. "Maybe he was never lucky," one article read. "Maybe the debt came due," said another. But Marcus didn't open his phone. Didn't eat. Didn't speak. He just sat, the city lights flickering across his glass windows like 1,000 tiny eyes. The coin he once spun for confidence lay on the table. He tried spinning it again. Fell flat. Every time. He whispered, almost to himself, "How much do I owe?" Outside, rain began to fall. Mr. Ray, from the street below, looked up at the glowing penthouse. A single shadow moved inside, pacing, haunted, human. The kind of silence that follows arrogance had finally arrived. Marcus turned toward the window. His reflection stared back. Not the man of legend, not the face on the billboards, but a stranger terrified of stillness. Then came it. A knock at the door, soft at first, then again, louder. 3 deliberate strikes that echoed through the apartment like a heartbeat out of sync. Marcus froze. The world outside seemed to stop breathing. The rain muted. The air thickened. He turned toward the door slowly, every step deliberate, every breath trembling. Another knock. He reached for the handle but paused. Something in him whispered no. The coin on the table rolled suddenly, without touch, falling flat with a hollow metallic note that seemed to last longer than physics allowed. Mr. Ray's voice echoed faintly in his memory. For every win, life collects a debt. Marcus whispered back, almost trembling. Some debts. Don't wait till morning. The camera would have caught the look in his eyes. Resignation laced with fear, pride cracking under the weight of consequence. The rain shimmered on the window, like tears sliding down a mask, and somewhere in that dark apartment, the echo of his debt whispered back. The fire of fortune had burned its brightest. Now came the smoke. Fade out.
Some say luck is borrowed. Others say it's stolen. But what if the debt comes to collect while you're still spending? Marcus Stone thought his story was about winning. He was wrong. In the next episode, The Final Echo, he learns what the universe does when the bill finally comes due. Before you go, tell me in the comments, do you believe in luck or do you believe in balance? And if you were Marcus, would you open that door? Subscribe because episode 3 arrives soon and the collector never knocks twice.
Subscribe for more echoes.